Okay, so this is the drill I used in the previous video. I tried to make it as straight as I could. And I looked up a couple of sources on drills, and this seems to be, about an average size for an arrow shaft. And I put a couple notches in there. I was going to mount this to a stick, but I decided not to. So many drills don't have these notches. In fact, I don't even know if this is accurate, but it works fine for the video. Anyway, I also used this one here. It's just a broken biface, and I just kind of made a little spur on here. And this is another broken biface. And I kind of chipped this down to be used as a saw. And I dulled the rest of it. And I burinated and sent some flakes across here to give me a good cutting edge. A good scraping edge. Right here especially. I don't know if you can see. But in this little section there. Just as a side note, you can use this for scraping too. You kind of see those little shavings. Okay. So I'm going to use these three in the video. Now, this is what the drilled out end looks like. And again, I forgot my thread, so I guess I'll drill out the other one without wrapping. Let's see, I do have some twine. Okay, so I can wrap the end with twine. Alright, so it bottomed out and it started to chip a little bit on the edges, but that's easily sanded and all that. Okay, I don't have a force shaft to demonstrate how that fits in there, but you can see pretty much. Alright, and like I said, this is red osier and it's already fully dry. I like to drill and work dry wood, and I've worked green wood before, but a lot of it tends to be, fuzzy, for lack of a better word. When you start working it, it's fuzzy. It doesn't shave off cleanly, and it doesn't drill cleanly. It gets, stringy and fuzzy in a lot of cases. So I wait until it's fully dry before I start working it, before I straighten or drill it or shave it down. Now, I worked the ends a little bit. This is just a side note on the nocks, on the bulbous nocks. This is how they start out. This is how I start doing them. And again, I shave this down as soon as I know. I have a little gauge that I measure this this constriction right here. It's a little bit more than a 1/4 inch usually on most arrows, and from there I'll just eyeball it and taper it. At the same time, I put on the spine tester to test the spine as I'm shaving this down, and usually I can get the spine I want, around 50 pounds or so. And okay, so I need to cut off these knots here, so I'll do that first. And there's some, I just enlarged these cracks in this, and I just use them for expedient little things, I guess, to help me hold the wood and whatnot, the wood and the bits. Okay. Now the reason why I'm cutting this off is because when you're drilling this down, these knots are much harder than the other wood, and it tends to grab the drill bit, and you can break the bit on those knots. It's pretty obvious, but in case you're wondering. And since red osier is fairly soft, this is quick work, relatively quick. With a harder wood, it'll take a lot longer. Okay. There's a little bit of a split there. Not sure why. And this is sandstone. I probably should have cut that down a little bit further. Because it's kind of, it's not very consistent. It looks a little bit, how should I say? It's oval shaped. It's not round. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but I'm just going to shave that off, cut that off further down. Just because I'm going to have to cut it down anyway, because when you attach the foreshaft, you don't want that widening or that odd shape. Okay. And that does help there. You don't want it wandering around when you're doing this, because it will wander on you as you're sawing. And I don't really need to do that, but I guess that's just OCD. Alright, so it's still a little bit oval shaped. I can fix that later, but I'm just going to trim it down a little bit right now. Or sand it down, I should say. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it makes it so much easier to center these things when they have a pith. Okay. And this just makes it easier on the drill when you start it like that. It makes it easier for the sawdust to fall out and also for the drill to get started. Okay. Let's see. I really don't need to wrap that much. With the power drill, you need to wrap further down, in my experience, because a lot of times, for some reason, the drill bit will tend to expand the wood down here, and it'll crack. You'll get a crack down here. But with the stone drills, I usually don't get that. Not even with the reeds. Okay, so I don't want to put too much force on here because I don't want it to collapse in while I'm drilling. But I don't want it to expand, so I put a little bit of tension on it. Usually I have some B50 which slides easier, but just use my teeth to pull that. Okay, that really didn't tighten it down very well, but oh well. Again, I just pulled it with my teeth. Okay. So let's see. And I'm using the same technique as the last video. I'm just going a little bit faster. And you notice that I'm bouncing up and down sometimes. And there's two reasons for that. One is I want that sawdust to come out. The other reason is I don't want to be pushing down too hard. So inevitably it'll bounce up and down a little bit. Okay. That's almost bottomed out. You notice that drill is kind of loose. That's fine. After that first practice run, I feel pretty comfortable with that drill. I don't need to have it, absolutely secure. It doesn't really matter if it's really in there really, really tight. Okay. So yeah, I think that's good enough. And it does heat up. This is nice and warm right now. But it doesn't heat up enough to affect the stone or the wood, in my experience. Okay. So yeah, that edge is paper thin now. And it's done. Okay. There you go. And there's not much wear and tear on this. It still feels kind of sharp on the tip. Obviously the pit is not going to dull the tip very much. There's little minute serrations in there. I chipped it very finely, but it doesn't have to be that fine. You don't need those little minute serrations. I just like the way it makes a much smoother interior when the edge is smoother. Okay.